listening to No Retreat, hosted by Cheryl Ann, produced by Scott Douglas. Today on No Retreat, our guest is Eric Felipe, who is a Republican primary candidate for U.S. Representative of Colorado's 4th Congressional District. Welcome to the program, Eric. Would you like to take a few moments and introduce yourself to our audience?
Hello, hey, I'm Eric, and a few things about me is I'm a working class person, just like most of the people that are in the voting block. I'm running as a Republican, but at my heart, I'm actually a libertarian populist. But we all understand that the United States runs on a two-party system. So joining up with the Republicans to help initiate some change and hopefully for the better and for the country and bring liberty and freedom actually to the people instead of this divisiveness. Um, I've done a lot of work in leadership roles and also policy. I've always been in the background trying to give people the advice, but decided finally maybe I should give it a shot. Everyone always talks about recruiting people, and nobody wants to do it because it's a job that nobody cares to do. So, yeah, I figured why not throw my hat in the ring?
And you make a good point. It's not fun to run an election, right? It's not fun to run to get on the ballot and then in the primary and then when you finally get the job, it's going to be hard. It's not going to be an easy position to have. What types of private sector jobs or experience or government experience or jobs have you had?
So, basically, a lot of the jobs that I've had are just kind of like blue collar, working class kind of jobs. I've done management, assistant management roles in restaurants, in facilities. I've run teams and stuff.
Well,
Uh,
it's you don't need to be dismissive about blue collar work because most of America is blue collar workers. So there's a much larger number of people doing blue collar work in America than there are numbers of people not doing it. So it's the backbone of our society, right?
exactly, and that's the point that I'm trying to point across to a lot of people is they want these people who are polished politicians, but that's that white collar class. It's not the people. They're not worrying about is my paycheck gonna last until the next one. You know what
Correct.
I'm saying?
Correct. They're not the key demographic that is actually living paycheck to paycheck. If they are, it's
Exactly.
because they overextended themselves, not because they have a lack of funds to meet basic needs.
Exactly, and that's what caused me to run is because I constantly see these people who they act like, oh yeah, we can see that the prices of things are hard, and then you look at them. Have you ever been to a grocery store? So,
Yes, and it's refreshing to have people that are willing to step up and take a chance, right? That want to be the people that they're representing. Like they come from the same group of people that they want to represent. Because
and
that's really needed in Congress today, right?
exactly, and that's why our founding fathers literally put it into place that it was supposed to be up for and by the people.
Correct.
That it was supposed to be all of us getting coming together and doing what's best for us. Instead, we've gotten to a point where it's formed by the corporation, formed by the billionaire, formed by somebody that can lobby. And like I had stated with some other people, Joe down the street here can't afford a lobbyist just as much like the billionaire can afford the lobbyist. And we all know that, like, those are the people who get what they want.
Well, and the lobbying is perpetrated against everybody when you get there, right? That they have lobbyists trying to buy influence.
Exactly.
And you do have to have people that will stand up for your average citizens and say, I'm here to represent them and what they
And then
need and yeah, what
yeah,
they want.
we've got a lot of people in Congress who are like, "Oh yes, I'm fighting for you," but then when their donors come and say, "Hey, remember I cut you that check? I need you to cut some of these regulations on me." Oh, okay. And then we have our omnibus bills that come through with so much extra pork in it that everyone gets their little slice of the pie,
Yet
except for
when
the
there's
working
not
class people.
yet when there's not actually any pie to be sliced anymore. We're so negative there's
Exactly.
no pie to be sliced. So,
Yep.
yeah, it makes total sense that, um, the working class need more representation that looks like a duck, walks like a duck, talks like a duck. It's a duck, right? We need
Exactly.
more people, but it's prohibitive. The whole process is prohibitive for people who are working class citizens to participate in it. It really is.
Yep.
Let us
They
know
put up
some of
these
the.
I'm sorry,
Yes.
real quick.
No,
They
go
put up
ahead.
these gatekeepers that the everyday person who's got to work 9 to 5 job just to earn, just to skate by, that check to check person, they aren't able to go out there and have the luxury of, well, spending all month off of work, campaigning, doing what they want to do. They get accepted by the party and they get just skate by. You don't have to worry about anything. So the lavish people at the top, it's easy for them. They can just, well, I can take a month off work. It's fine. But the regular person, you miss a couple of days, that's rent.
Absolutely. You miss any paycheck. It can be the difference between having a place to live or not having a place to live. So,
Exactly.
um, these are excellent points and good reasons to run, right? To run for
Yeah.
office. What would be some of the top priorities that you see for your district?
So, like my district is on the semi wealthier side in some parts, but also it has a big rural and older population. And one of the things that I've been kind of focusing on a lot lately is Social Security. We the older people, that's their lifeline. A lot of older people, that's their lifeline. And it has about 7 years before the trust is bankrupt. And it's been put out there that yes, as soon as it's bankrupt, that everyone of those recipients getting that check every month, that it's going to be about 27% less on that check, and that there will be no more cost of living increases on it because it won't be able to sustainably provide it. It would literally just be pulling off of what we're putting in right now. And so my argument is that we've let government dip into the piggy bank so long and say that they're going to return it that it's now not solving. it was in the past that it was fine, it worked, and people just let it go. But anyone talks about touching it, and everyone starts to freak out. But what are people going to do when that check is 27% less? If you're skating by just barely right now, 27% less, that's a lot that's going to be going away.
Yeah, and if you own your property outright, um, and you still have property taxes to pay, and if all of a
Yeah,
sudden you got almost a third of your income cut, how are you
exactly.
going to pay your property taxes? You're not, and then you're going to lose your property.
But like a lot of people that I've discussed with, you bring up Social Security and it's a non-starter. They're like, no, don't touch it. Okay, do you understand if nobody does anything to address this situation and they just kick the can down the road and that trust dries up? It's the same thing with Medicare. That trust is drying up too. That one, I believe, has like 9 years until it's dried up. And so then it's going to be a complete shock. And then the government's going to be freaking out. Oh my God, we got to do something. We only have 6 months or 3 months to solve the situation when we all know that government moves, grass grows faster than government moves.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's one of my major things for my district is, yeah, we can look at some of the things. There's a big push for, well, Second Amendment rights. I did state to people that the Second Amendment right battle has been happening for the last 20, 30 years. It's on the that's a battle in the courts. Nobody's passing laws through Congress, heck,
That have
to do
anything
anything
to
right
do
now.
with, yeah, Second Amendment right now. Nobody's doing that. You're correct. Right now, it's all litigation.
Exactly. It's all in the court. It's not That's not the battle that these people are. We need to be looking at the other things. The biggest issue in America is cost of living. And one of my other main issues, is like affordable housing and stuff. Is we create so much regulation and red tape, and we let these big hedge funds and corporations buy up all this land and housing, and we say, well, that's the free market to let them do that. So they come up, BlackRock comes up, buys up the whole street, and rents it to you. You'll never own the home. They rent it out to you.
Yeah,
And like
I,
Klaus Schwab of the World Economic Forum says that you will own nothing and you'll be happy.
yeah. So we have always in America put restrictions, either by zoning or through legislation, on how people can own single family homes. And it is not ridiculous for us to state that single family homes may only be purchased by single families or
Exactly.
investors that own fewer than 3 homes or 4 homes, or, so that it might be a small family investor, right? But
Yeah. But then they let these people come through and
correct. And they
buy
buy.
up the whole street,
I
the
can
whole
I can
neighborhood.
attest to that because I live in a neighborhood. We actually rent our home, but we rent from an individual. Um, but I can attest to the fact that most of the homes in our neighborhood are owned by these large leasing companies,
Hmm.
and their rents are at least 15 to 20% more than ours is. Similar size homes in the same neighborhood.
It's
Um,
because they all can work together. It's
yes.
like the same thing for here in Colorado. There was a push and some litigation out because they were figuring all these corporate renters were working with an algorithm to set all their rates. So there was no competition really. Like, you know what, we're gonna try to get more people in here, so we're gonna lower our rates. It's no, let's all set our rates the same, so they are forced to pay that higher amount.
Correct. Takes away any real, true, market driven rates. So you can't, on the one hand, say, oh, it's the free market, and then on the other hand, collude to fix the pricing.
It's like the same thing with oil. Everyone has this strong push with we just need to drill more. But and as I stated to some people, that doesn't work out when OPEC can drill more for cheaper. America's oil is a crude oil that takes about $50 or so, 40, $50 to produce a barrel, where OPEC can produce a barrel into by 20 or $30. So they work to control the market and keep it at a certain rate. So it's the same thing with housing. You control the market and you set the rate. But then
Yep.
nobody wants to talk about. They say, "Oh no, it's the free market." That's not the free market. It's literally controlled by an oligarchy. That
Yeah, if you're colluding with other companies to price fix, right? I mean, we have laws against that. It's just nobody wants to touch it. I
so they say
personally
well, there's
think,
monopoly laws. Well,
yeah, well,
it's not a monopoly if they're all just kind of working together. They're
yeah,
not actually in the boardroom together, but
correct. And so they
they
don't
all.
call it a monopoly, but it results in the same thing. It
It's an
takes
oligopoly.
yeah, it takes away the ability for individuals to own a home,
And
which
that was the American dream. That's
correct.
my push is everyone says, well, it's an American dream. The American dream was home ownership. Then you can build some you that's your foundation. And you build from that.
Yes, once you could own a home, you could build equity, you could establish a community, you could have a family, that there
Exactly.
was
And that's one
something.
thing I have tried to point out to the older generation
Yeah.
because they're like, well, I have all this, I have my house, I have it. I said, but younger people, you may have got into your house for 100K or whatever. For a lot of us younger people, starting price is 500 to 800,000 for what they deem now a starter home.
Yes, I've seen in my area. Of course, you're in a different market, but I'm near Nashville, and I could get into a starter home here that's not disgusting. I mean, a decent starter home, not a big home. We're talking a 3 bedroom home. Could probably get into that for about 350 here, somewhere between 350 and 400. Um,
Yeah,
but
here you can touch a shack for that,
yeah,
and it just makes it so they're like, well, if younger people would just work harder, they could achieve those things. Do you understand what you're asking?
no,
Like,
they're not. You need to equate it to what was their annual wage when they purchased their home. Because when my parents purchased their home back in 1977, that home cost them 2 times my father's annual wage. Okay.
hmm
If I were to buy that starter home, well, not that starter home, but let's just say the house I'm renting right now. If I were to purchase the house that I'm renting right now, it would be 6 times my annual income. So there's the difference. The difference is how many times your annual income is the beginning home. That's what the conversation is. If a starter home is 2 times a person's annual income, that means the payments are going to be very low as a portion of what you bring home every month. If
exactly.
it's 6 times your annual income, now it's a big, huge chunk of what you bring home every month. So,
And then you
it's
got food costs and utilities, and nobody's talking about the data centers. that are driving
Electricity
energy
up,
costs
yes.
up, and the government's allowing them to push the costs onto everyday citizens. Well, it's just the cost of electricity. No,
Mm.
you're you're literally letting them do this stuff, and they probably cut you a big check.
They buy it at pre market rates. They make the supply go down, which means the demand is up, which means the rates to the ultimate consumers go up, and we all pay that extra price. And it hurts um, blue collar workers to a much higher degree.
Exactly, and that's like I was saying at the beginning. The people that we're putting in there that really don't have to worry. They're not worried about, well, my electric bill was an extra $50 this month. Am I going to be able to pay it? You know what I'm saying?
Correct, because that $50 might be somebody's total gasoline budget for the month.
Exactly.
It's yeah. It is a different way of having to look at things when you try to look at them from the hard working blue collar class, right? And when you are looking at it from that perspective, it does give you a different viewpoint about all of the policies, all of the things. Gives you a different push, right? To to
Right.
to serve from a different perspective. So, what other priorities do you see?
Some of the other things is just like food cost, healthcare even cost. We have let instead of we let insurance companies dictate everything. And I'm sorry, like for me, insurance is the biggest legal scammer in the world. That you're really required to have it. They're the ones who adjust the rates and set up everything. The government just okay gives them the rubber stamp saying it's the same thing. Like, okay, we'll give them the subsidies, so you guys can charge what you want for the stuff, and the government will pitch in to help cover the cost. Where instead of then we end up with that heavy duty medical bills and stuff on people that instead of looking at more of a statewide co-op or even we create these red lines for insurance. So that way that oligopoly in that world can price fix. And the insurance is the same across the board. So you have your health insurance, you have your car, house, all they all work in their backroom deals, and they all have their red lines to who you can have in what areas, and you know what I'm saying?
Well, it definitely. So, in the insurance world, having formerly sold insurance a long time ago, um, it used to be completely done through actuarial tables. That's it. It was just math, right?
Hmm.
Well, now it's math plus what can you get for it?
Exactly.
Um,
And that's the problem is
that's
because it
that is
became
the
a for
problem.
profit.
That is the problem. Back in the day, if you want to go back to the early 1900s, all health care was provided for through church and charity organizations. 100% of it.
And that's one of my argument is like if we were to go to a system that everyone kind of just buys into the system and we keep a transparent on what these costs are, you don't get, hey, we're gonna give you this surgery or whatever, and we'll worry about billing you later. No, no, no. What is the cost of this stuff? And also, there needs to be that bargaining chip on our end instead of the insurance looking at it and say, okay, well, we don't want to pay that much, and we need to make sure our profits are up. Like when you punish people for using their stuff, what's the point of having the protection if you're going to punish?
Absolutely, because nowadays with the healthcare marketplace, etc., the best insurance, the lowest price insurance I could get, okay, at, for my age and what I need to cover, right? It's total costing me out of pocket almost $800 a month for one person when
Exactly.
I'm not going to spend. But the problem is I'm 60 years old, okay? So
Hmm.
if I had a catastrophic event like a stroke or a heart attack or something like that, it would bankrupt us. So I have to pay that. Okay?
Exactly.
Even though most years I'm not even going to touch the $9,600 worth of money I'm paying in premiums because I also have a $3,000 out of pocket before anything kicks in. You just start adding up all these little extra things, right?
Well,
And
that was like
before,
last year for myself. We had it to that in most cases, nobody's going to hit that mark. And that's what the insurance company is hoping for. That way, they're not having to pay that 100%.
well, and I get that that has to be part of the whole insurance, right? Because you're buying insurance to help you in the event that a catastrophic event, occurs, right?
Hmm.
Which is different than, so it used to be different. You'd have a major medical, plan, and that was really just in case of emergency. That's if you had to go to the ER, if you had to go to the hospital for any reason, you had to have surgery, major event, right? It didn't have anything to do with going to see a doctor. Okay? And people just went to doctors and paid the doctor visit.
Yeah, exactly. And that was the
And
whole
if
point
we
is that
had
things are
that
kind of
kind of
separated.
system today, I I think we'd see costs coming down.
But the shareholders wouldn't like that.
No, they would not. So you have a point there, Eric. You have a point.
It's always please the shareholder and screw the customer.
Yes, and like you said, the constituents, the people actually working and working hard, they need good representation. People that will think about these things for them. People that will go and fight for them in their district. To make sure
Exactly.
that
And
they have a voice. And it sounds like um, you are on your path to be the voice of reason for your district.
I'm trying to be more voice to the common man than what is deemed the talking heads in Congress right now.
Well, I think it's a good goal. As we get ready to kind of wrap up the discussion today, Eric, tell the audience when your primary is, how they can connect to get to know you better, to volunteer, to donate. How can they get involved in your campaign?
So our primary is on June 30th. Um, for now, it's working to get past the gatekeepers and get on the ballot with signatures. So we would love volunteers and such to reach out to us. My campaign website is sanfelipe2026.com. That's where you can donate, sign up, and even actually have direct contact with myself. Um, I try to check it daily at some point.
So you
Yeah,
need a few good blue collar workers that are willing to take petitions to their workplace and get people at their work to sign up, to sign on the dotted
exactly.
line. That's what you need. You need an army of blue collar workers to each get 10 signatures apiece from their work.
I'm a grassroots candidate. I've already stated on my
Yeah.
website and stuff that I won't be dealing with corporations because
Yeah.
once you deal with them, they own you.
Yep.
And people can be like, no, no, they don't own me. Yes, they do because
Well, they
when
own
they come
they
knocking
own
on the
access. They own
yeah
access.
when they come knocking on the door in Congress, if I go knocking on the door, they tell you get lost or goes to one of my staffers. If they come and say, well, Exxon Mobil's head is at the door. Oh, let me get that.
Correct, correct. So what I'm hearing is people need to go to sanfelipe2026.com, correct?
Yeah, exactly.
And that is where they need to let you know that they need petitions so that they can get signatures for you, because that's where you're at this point.
We have the stuff all set up. As soon as people want to uh,
Jump
help
on and
us
do it.
get get
They can
out there
help.
and get it.
How long do you have to turn the signatures in to get on the ballot?
We have till March 18th to get these signatures.
Okay, so
And it's
basically
only
you have 1
1,500,
month.
but we only need 1,500 to get in.
Okay.
But
Hey,
we probably are looking at 2,000 because
right, because
our
some will come
Secretary of
off
State
and yeah.
loves to disqualify people.
Yeah, it's always best if you can turn in like 2 times the number that you need. So anybody listening to this needs, if they live in Colorado's 4th Congressional District, they need to go to your website. They need to get the petition. They need to see if they can be one of those people that turns in 10 or 15 signatures. Get you a bunch of people that can do that for you. In the hospitality industry alone, maybe you could come up with it. So, well, it has been a real pleasure. I really want to thank you, Eric, for spending time talking about your vision and your heart for service. And, just we thank you for jumping in and trying to do this. It's not an easy road. I hope that we're going to hear much, much more from you in the future. And thank you so much.
Yep, and I want to thank you for giving me the time and the platform to get my word out there to people. It's been a hard battle, as I stated before. I didn't realize the amount of gatekeeping that the state party puts into place to prevent any dissenting voice from rising.
Well, hopefully we can get some people to come alongside and help you with your efforts.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. Have a wonderful day.
You too.
Bye. You've been listening to No Retreat. Guest, Eric San Felipe. And as always, everyone, be blessed and be a blessing. Thank you.